PR Frank, and today I'm going to show you a little bit about image optimization using Photoshop. We're going to take this parrot here and we can transform it and see a different version of that parrot. We can take this parrot, which is a very large file, and make it smaller and ready for the web in its best format. And we'll take this other image and slice it up so that it can load as individual images and web page. So let's get started over here in Photoshop. First thing we want to do is let's go ahead and open this image that we have called parrot. Okay, so there's a parrot. I can apply a filter to it, make it fancy. Just go to my filter gallery, and what the heck, that's great. I'll just use that. Okay, so we have that, and then I just do save as, and I'll replace this this other parrot rollover. Okay, so now we have two different versions of that file. We have the parrot and the parrot rollover, two completely different images. And what we can do with a rollover image is in Dreamweaver, we can choose where we want to put it. It's going to go in this banner here. I can come down to my insert panel and I can scroll down to rollover image and give it a name. I'll just call it parrot. Makes sense. The original image is the one I want to display first. Here, the normal parrot image, and the image for the rollover would be the one called parrot rollover. Of course, I have to put alt text in. Once again, I'll just say parrot. If I want it to go somewhere when I click it, I can also put in a URL, but I don't want that. So I'll say OK. And what Dreamweaver does is, as you can see, we're rolling over this image. It's going to switch. It'll switch between those two images as we roll over it. What Dreamweaver does is it puts in some fancy stuff here, okay? All this stuff right here, the script that it put in for us, is called JavaScript. It's another scripting language for the web. It helps us do some pretty interactive stuff. You don't have to really worry about what it's doing there. But essentially what it's doing is it's telling us, hey, you know what? When this page loads, load the second image just in case somebody hovers it, and when they hover it, we'll then replace that image with that. We're going to swap it. So you see some of those kind of words here in the code. It adds something to the body tag, and of course it adds some more JavaScript code to the div with the ID banner to help that happen. Right, so that's how we can achieve a rollover. Let's take a look at optimization now. So in Photoshop, I'm going to open another file here. I'm going to open a file called parrot PSD, called the parrot PSD. And here's a nice picture of a parrot. You'll notice that the file size down here at the bottom is very large, 29.4 megs, and we're zoomed all the way out to 16%. If we zoom in by doing Command 1 or Control 1, we can see that this has a lot of resolution. It's a really high detailed image. It takes up a lot of space on the disk, and it wouldn't be appropriate to load this onto a web page because it would take a long time, and if people were looking at it on their mobile device, they might get upset about the data being used. In any case, what we're going to do is optimize this image, and we just go to File, Export, Save for Web Legacy. There are some new ways, such as Export As or Export Quick Export as PNG, but Save for Web Legacy gives a lot of choices to the user. So we're going to go use that. And this dialog box gives us lots of choices by using presets. So as you can see, we have all different kinds of GIFs. We have JPEG high, low, and medium, and we have two different kinds of PNGs. So GIFs can have transparency, so can PNGs. GIFs can be animated, but not PNGs. And JPEGs do not have transparency. So it's really going to depend on the kind of image that you're trying to export. In this case, we can choose any of these settings because there is no transparency in this image. I'm going to move my image around so we can see the eye and some of the details in the feathers here. And I'll just go through some of these presets to show you what they're going to do. But before I change a preset, I want you to notice down here in the bottom left-hand corner that it's going to tell you what's going to happen to this. Right now, the file is 13.13 megabytes, and it will take approximately 2,434 seconds to load at a 56.6 kilobit connection. Now, we have a lot faster connections these days, but in any case, all these numbers are going to change. You want the best possible file size, the smallest possible file size, with the fastest download and the best looking image. So this is looking pretty good at PNG 24. If we switch it to PNG 8 128 dithered, it takes a minute. But as you can see, the detail gets reduced a little bit. You can see it here in the feathers. It's not looking so great anymore, especially in the sky. However, the file size gets dramatically reduced and the speed gets a lot faster. We also have lots of other choices to alter it within just this preset. We can make a custom preset. Let's take a look at some of the others. So we can have JPEG High. And JPEG High is looking pretty good there. We still have a lot of detail. We have a smaller file size, pretty fast. We can choose between JPEG High, JPEG Medium. I don't know if you saw that, but there's just a little bit of difference between those two. And JPEG Low, we can start to see it gets a little pixelated. And it doesn't look as good, but the file size is significantly smaller and the speed is faster. And there's all sorts of different versions of GIF as well. If we can do GIF 64 no dither, you'll see a huge difference here. You see there's not as much gradient going on in the eye or the feather, especially in the sky. We can get a little higher version of that with dither. We start to see a little bit better result. And of course, a 128 dithered is going to be the best result of the GIF. But you'll have to decide as you switch between these different presets which of those three file types and which of those different levels on those three file types is going to work best for you for what you need to display. So the very last thing to do before you export it is pay attention to the image size. You don't want a very large pixel dimension in your web files. In this case, we're going to reduce all of these images to 300. If I type in 300 and press the tab key, you can see it zooms way out. It shows us at 100%. This is the size the image is going to be. And when we do click save, it'll automatically convert that image to 72 pixels per inch, which is for the web. Many cameras will take a photo at 300 pixels per inch, and that looks great for print. But for the web, we need a lot lower resolution. There's no choice to select the resolution here, but it will automatically save it as a 72 pixel per inch image. And then once I'm finished determining the width and which preset I like, then I can click save and that image will be optimized. And it's a good idea to save it as a different name just in case you don't want to replace your original image. So that's a little bit about optimization. There's one more thing that people do for the web, and that is they make slices to break an image up, a larger image up into smaller parts that can load individually. So here I'll get this bird image and we're going to slice it up. So if you come down here, normally you'll see the crop tool. It's the fifth tool down. You can click and hold and grab the slice tool. And the very first thing we need to do is put some guides in here. Actually, you know, with that slice tool, we can draw a slice, but it gets a little messy this way. So I'm going to undo that. So what I want to do is I want to put some guides in, and a new guide layout is a great way to do that. If we want to make this into 4 slices, we can give it 4 columns with no gutter. There are some presets here, 24 columns. You can change all those things. 4 columns, no gutter. Sometimes it'll automatically give you a margin. You can uncheck that, and then you can just get these nice 4 guides. Then with the slice tool, there's in the options bar, there's a button called Slices from Guides, and if I click that, it'll make the 4 slices out of those guides. And if I control or right click here, I can choose to edit slice options, and you can see the name of that is bird_01, which is a great name, and each one is named successively like that. So I've got my 4 slices, and what we do is we go to the same menu, we go to Export, Save for Web. We can choose the preset we like. In this case, you'll notice that only 1 slice is selected, but we should select all of them by holding down Shift and clicking on all 4, or however many you have. And then, of course, the width is the width of all of the images combined. I don't need to really reduce that here. It's already reduced to what I want. And when I click on save, it'll export all 4 of those slices, and it'll export it into a folder inside of whatever folder I want. So this is important. Right now I want to put it in my images folder, but when I do, it's going to create another new folder inside of this folder where those are going to be. And of course I want to export all slices. So when I click save, it does its work. And when we go back and we look inside of the images folder, there's another images folder where all 4 of those bird images are kept. Okay, you can see each one is a piece of that image. Now, how do you use those on a web page? Well, in Dreamweaver, we're going to put that here in the Optimize div. And I can just choose Insert Image. I can go pick out the image I want to load first. I should put an Alt in there. I can do that later though. I can click Image again and get the second one. Continue this process. Third one. And the fourth one. There we go. And then if I were to look at this page, it's probably best to go ahead and save this and look at it in a browser. And what you can see is the image is now stitched together seamlessly. Even though this is made up of 4 different images, it really just looks like one because they're smashed right up against each other. So that's another way to optimize. We've optimized to show how to do a rollover. I've optimized to show you the 3 different ways to use that menu, file, export, save for web, and how to generate slices so that these images can load as individual images and not as one larger image. So I hope this has helped, and enjoy your day.